Reading and Writing Workshop by Franklin Roosevelt Boulware. One may ask themselves, what are reading and writing workshops? Reading and writing workshops are language arts modules where students have the responsibility of making decisions about what will be studied and why. They're independently driven, but they also include some group activities. The students share the books they've read and books they've written with classmates during the sharing period. A typical workshop may operate in the following order. The teacher first opens up the lesson with a brief read aloud that might go into a mini lesson dealing with the grammar genre or reading strategy or the writing process. Secondly, the students are then prompted to warm up on the reading instruction activity or the writing instruction activity. Thirdly, there's some individual reading or writing time. Some students are reading or writing while others are conferencing with a peer or with the teacher. Finally, towards the end or the closing of the lesson, the students have an opportunity to share during the sharing period. Reading and writing workshops sound like students that are talking about literature as if they're in their own book clubs. They engage in think-alouds to think critically using metacognition. Students also conduct whole class discussion based on their interest. We're now going to look at what the workshop looks like, specifically for reading. The students are motivated because they've chosen the books that they want to read according to their individual reading levels. Students are working at their own pace, and teachers have an opportunity to work individually with these students during their own conferences to offer suggestions to their reading. Likewise, for the writing workshop module, students are self-sufficient learners who are able to work independently throughout the entire time of the work period. These students also work through the steps of the writing process as they compile their final copies of writing to make books, artwork, posters, or perform scripts or skits in front of their peers. Now we're going to look at the strengths of the workshop module. One of the strengths is that activities are student-directed. The students also take ownership and accountability of their work. It's an organized method of executing language arts that builds on students' social natures by fostering focused talk about reading. With the strengths of the workshop also comes weaknesses of the module. Unfortunately, with the workshop modules, some students may be reluctant to stay on task. Teachers often feel a loss of control because the students are reading different books and working at different stages of the writing process. Also, many elements of the modules may be condensed or either left out due to time constraints. One of the most important instructional strategies of the reading and writing workshop is the sharing period. Sharing periods may be used to close out a mini lesson, which was given earlier in the opening by the teacher. A student is selected to share with the class what they've either read or written. Younger children often sit in a circle or gather on a rug for the sharing period. The student doing the sharing sits in a special chair that's labeled the author's chair to read what they've composed or reviewed. After the reading, classmates clap and offer compliments as well as other comments and suggestions. There's a special emphasis on this, though, that the focus is on celebrating the completed projects, not revising it to make it any better. There are a number of ways a struggling reader would benefit from the pattern of practice of reading and writing workshop. One in particular is one I like to title The Recipe for Struggling Readers. It involves the reading notebook, or in the workshop models what we typically like to call the reader's source book or writing source book, a student dictionary, a pack of sticky notes, a highlighter, and a pen or pencil. What these students do is as they're reading, they write down unfamiliar words or words that they don't necessarily know what they mean on the sticky note. Right beneath that, the student actually looks up the word in the dictionary and writes that definition right underneath it. Similar words are also written that are related to the definition, also known as synonyms. This helps to increase the vocabulary of the student as well as offer different choice of words that the student may be able to use in the future. In the reading notebook, the sticky note is actually placed on the inside of that page where they were actually using that word to complete a sentence of their own. The students are also able to name which part of speech it is, whether it's a noun or whether it's a verb, which also helps them as an added grammar skill. This is an example of what the recipe for struggling readers using Reading Workshop will look like. As you can see, the word revive has been placed on a sticky note in the upper right hand corner of the page where the student was working on, titled Unfamiliar Words. That student also defined the word as well as offered some synonyms to revive: awaken, arouse, bounce back, wake up. On the page where that student was working, they titled the part of speech, which is a verb, and also came up with a sentence of their own using the word revive and highlighting it. Incorporating a skill such as this allows for struggling readers to effectively decode unfamiliar words. Providing synonyms, once again, also helps these students to become very versatile in their use of vocabulary words. Placing the sticky note on the inside of their reading notebook serves as a point of reference in their own student-generated resource book.